Welcome back. Welcome back. Okay, guys, this is down to the wire, and we have something very exciting for you before the panel. Now, everyone has this, right? Show me, show me. Okay. The next panel, the last panel that is going to wrap up for the evening is Exit Festival's panel. And they're going to be talking about can music industry go to the metaverse altogether? If we can all go, let me show you something in real time. I'm going to scan this, just updated it. It opens up. And now what's going to happen is every single person here gets an early bird ticket to the TOMORROW conference that's going to happen in May 2023. So we already have it set up for you guys. We have some really, really exciting things. So be sure to go ahead and scan it, grab your early bird tickets, because the way that this conference is going now, it's going to sell out fast. So scan it here, scan it on your card. And I would like to go ahead and introduce the panelists for our talk. And Martina is going to be the moderator. So please give us a warm, warm welcome for the grand finale of this evening.
Let's do this.
Thank you. Thank you so
much. Thank you. Hi, Laura. Hi.
Hello.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hi. Thank you. Thank you
Hello.
so much.
Hello, everyone. I'm very excited to be here today, especially with these great people on this great panel called RAVERSE, Can the Music Industry Go to Metaverse Altogether? I'm really sorry that Maceo and Maria couldn't make it to this panel, but I have a message for them both. Maria, get well soon. And Maceo, see you tonight at Exit Metaverse Party here at Belexpocentar. So I would like to introduce to our speakers. She is the CEO of London-based blockchain-focused marketing agency LKI Consulting. In 2020, she was named as one of the 10 women entrepreneurs by Entrepreneur Mag. Please welcome Laura Inamedinova.
Thank you, everyone. I think already should start living on the stage.
Thank you, Laura. Now let me introduce James Sutcliffe, VP of Global Partnership in Pixelynx, until recently Global Head of Music in Live Now, and Director of Music and Marketing of Monster Energy. Welcome, James.
Thank you.
Our surprise panelist is Mickey Elson, who came from London this morning to join us on TOMORROW conference. Mickey is the co-founder of ArtSec DAO, Immersive NFT Gallery London. Welcome, Mickey. Good to see you here.
Cheers.
He is the founder and the first man of Exit Festival. Last year, he was declared one of the most influential people in the music and the event industry in Europe. Ladies and gentlemen, Dušan Kovačević.
Hello. Good to be here with you today.
And let me introduce myself. I am Martina Anđelković, as known as Naica de Madre. I am the CMO of Metarun, first blockchain-based play-to-earn, play-to-win endless runner game with NFT assets and Exit Festival Associate. We will start this panel with a presentation prepared by Dušan. So Dušan, the stage is yours.
Thank you. Can we get this on the screen?
Come on, guys.
Okay. So, what's all about this human touch? Can we touch in Metaverse? We'll see. Today we are speaking about the music industry and the relevance of the music industry and what the music industry can do for the Metaverse and what Metaverse can do for the music industry. So as you can see, my background, Exit Festival, one of the leading music events on the planet, started 22 years ago. And when we speak about the music industry, as you can see, it is one of the leading entertainment industry. And if we compare it with the gaming or movie industry, it brings less money. But in terms of the impact, that's another story. So you probably, most of you should know that when Steve Jobs, when he returned to Apple, he asked his team, like, what is the biggest passion that people have? And the answer was sport and music. And then he said, OK, we'll go for the music. And basically, that's how the iPod was created. And because of the music, Apple is now one of the biggest companies in the world. Also, yesterday, I had a meeting with Coca-Cola, and their new global strategy is focusing on music as their primary growth strategy. So they see that the music is the key for attracting new generations. And now the Metaverse. When we see how many people are already addicted to how many of you use Instagram and other social networks, and how many hours per day? Nobody? OK. So even the Harvard University said it's one of the biggest addiction that people have right now in the world. And with Metaverse and everything that Metaverse is bringing, this can go even worse. That's why when we enter the Metaverse, we need to find our way out of it as well. And that's why at Exit, we were the first major festival in the world last year to basically gather tens of thousands of people on one place. We showed that even during the pandemic, it's possible to do so without any COVID outbreak. And that's why we feel that one of our missions in the world is to protect this human touch, to protect when we are next one to another, that is something that is precious. And we don't want the Metaverse that is a replacement of human experience. It is addition to the human experience. And this is something that we are passionately fighting for. That's why our NFT collections are combining the superior digital art with some of the best possible human experience that you can have. And even when there is a crisis like we had in last week with the crypto, when you have the real-life experience connected with the NFTs, their prices will not drop because they have something tangible to be connected with. So our first collections that are coming as we speak is we are doing it together with some of the leading music stars and celebrities, such as Maceo, Plex, and Christina Carmela. But that is just the first phase. Our passion is really to unite the music industry, to unite all the key stakeholders, and then organize it as a DAO and go into the Metaverse together. And this is something that we will speak more today. But that's also just part of the story. Our biggest passion is how we can combine virtual and real-life experiences, communities. So imagine living in both virtual and real worlds with some of the leading global minds, the best entrepreneurs, artists, scientists, living together, exchanging experience, creating value together, bringing the new world. And this is actually one of the, we call it the New Earth Islands. And this is one beautiful island in Montenegro where we are creating first of these paradises, where people will be buying land in Metaverse, but also they will be buying land in the real world as well. And why it will succeed? Because we are satisfying the real need of people. It's not just some pixel art that is just there and then go away. It is something that will have tangible value. So instead of the Bored Apes Club, we are bringing sexy, smiling, real human society. So that's it for the start. Thank you, and let's have a panel.
Thank you so much, Dušan. That was very insightful. Thank you. Well, 2021 was definitely a year of NFTs, the year where the mighty Metaverse manifested and divided mankind into three groups. The ones that are totally excited, shut up and take my money. The next one were confused. Is that some kind of robot takeover? And the last one are totally resistant. They don't want to know about it. And Metaverse is drawing attention of more and more people because it's here, it's now, and it's happening. We are witnessing a big expansion of Metaverse in music industry. We saw recently 12 million Fortnite players tune in to watch Travis Scott concert. Also, we've seen how Post Malone and Steve Aoki are making millions, money that would take years to make under the traditional structures. Also, we saw Universal Group launched first ever NFT band, and we saw that Exit Festival launched their first NFT collections. So they are not the only ones. It's happening. And let's start with our questions. For 2 years during the pandemic, we didn't have any concerts and live events, and everything was transferred to virtual world. Do you think that the virtual world can be a substitute for real-life experience? What do you think?
I can start this. And what's super exciting when it comes to Metaverse is the accessibility. So for example, I love certain artists, certain musicians, and I want to see them, want to experience them. But I'm originally from Lithuania. And Lithuania, when it comes to music industry, is definitely a third world country because no big artists come there. You can't really go to their concerts. So if I have the opportunity to join them through Metaverse to experience the things, this me as a fan would be super engaged and excited. And one of the companies I know, Animal Concepts, for example, we did a panel with their CEO some time ago in Dubai, are actually enabled these things. So they're partnering up with like Miley Cyrus, Alicia Keys, really A-tier celebrities to bring their experiences of concert into the Metaverse where fans can actually interact with the stars, can be in a front row basically. They call it like a monster pit, for example, I think Taylor Swift was calling it this way, to actually experience the artist without even flying anywhere. So for the artists, for all the musicians, from their brand perspective, from the marketing perspective, it's amazing experience to connect with more audience, give more personalized experience, what otherwise without Metaverse is not really possible.
Yeah.
From my perspective, I think it will never replace the physical, and it shouldn't. You know, the whole idea of what we at Pixelynx and other businesses are creating here is about laying over technology that is going to enhance the experience. You can't, as Dušan said, you can't replicate physical touch. And we shouldn't try to do that either. But what we should do is create environments where people are able to have an enhanced experience in discovering new events and experiences pre-event. Whilst they're at the event, they have the opportunity to discover through technology, mobile technology, for example. They'll be able to have an enhanced experience. They'll be able to find and collect NFTs that give them utility in the real world at that festival. And be able to connect with their friends in sharing those experiences. And it's when those two things combine that I think we have the perfect scenario. So that's my take.
Yeah, that's what we're speaking about. It's combining the best from both worlds. And that is what the game should be all about. Not about replacement. As you said, it's the virtual worlds and Metaverse can really be an amazing addition to real-life experiences. And for instance, festivals or concerts, because our Fortress, where Exit is held, it can fit 50,000 people per day, and that's it. That's capacity. And with technology, we can have 50 million people at the same time together. But once again, if something pandemic proved is that real human touch, people being next to each other, exchanging energy, it's not comparable. It's just not comparable to the virtual experience. And this is something that also technology can add, not just that that people can be there and that concerts can be held in Metaverse as well. What technology can add for the real-life concerts and festivals is also giving additional things to play about. For instance, to do some XR things at the festivals, at the concerts, and this is something that definitely is coming very fast in the future. But definitely, what we all agree, I would say, in the music industry, and what, once again, pandemic proved, that real-life experience and concerts and festivals cannot be replaced by virtual ones. That's for sure.
Miki, how can new technologies enhance the real-life experience? What do you think?
Yeah, I think I agree. As you said, it's all about accessibility. So real-life experiences are fun. Just hanging out with your friends, singing the music. This is already good. So overlaying utility in that situation, we're going to have to try quite hard, but giving access globally to these brands, experiences. I'm Glastonbury side in England, we've got Exit, I've never been, this year's my first time, and giving everyone globally, 8 billion, 9 billion people or more, access to that whole, any of these festivals is just amazing. So I think that's the key for now, accessibility.
And if I could add a little bit more, also, Metaverse can be used as a fan activation. So let's say you want to experience this festival, but you don't know if it's going to be your thing, your crowd. How do you basically convert them from those who are just interest leads to actual attendees and then even brand ambassadors? So one of the ways you can create a smaller event, something for them to touch and feel the energy, the community. Because when it comes to Metaverse, it's all about the community. So you can get basically those fans activated and be engaged with the festival without even putting the time monetary commitment in that sense. And then when the festival, for example, comes, or a concert, if we're talking about some celebrities, singers or bands, they can actually become users. So basically, in a sense, Metaverse can also be used as a top of the funnel brand awareness channel for then later activate these people.
James, you have to add something?
I think for me, it's looking at Web3 is very much about the evolution of your marketing strategy. So with what is possible in Web3, with such a strong focus on community, but also the tools that are now available to event holders, artists, etc. It's a brand new canvas that we've never had the like since I think MTV came about. When at that moment, it changed the way that everybody thought about the way that art was distributed and consumed. And where we're at now, the Web 2 will not disappear, but it's limited in terms of the way that you communicate and connect. It's two-way to a point, but this new technology and this new way of thinking gives fans real ownership and real ability to almost form. I mean, I like to think of it like it turns your marketing spend into a revenue stream. Think about it like that. Marketing doesn't necessarily just become a cost center anymore. It actually becomes something that you can make money off because your fan base will help to fund it by being actively involved in the creation.
Definitely, and here we can also think about, for example, DAOs, because what a DAO means. Basically, people who own tokens, they have the access to vote on the future developments on the product. So this means your community gets so engaged, and they're not just waiting a year to get to a concert, waiting to like your post. They're actually a part of the development of the project. And this means they become brand ambassadors. They talk about it. They share. They're proud that what are the features you're implementing in your product are the features they voted about on during basically their participation at DAOs.
Thank you.
Yeah, and it's giving them tool to engage and to influence. For instance, if we look at the festivals, so Exit immediately after we started became a love mark, much more than a brand. And if we have a tool to connect all of our fans inside such a system, they can actively be involved into making decisions on artists, on stages, and this is something that will happen in immediately. And this is very exciting and very appealing. And we, can't grasp the potential of it yet. This is something that will unfold in the future, but definitely it's super exciting.
Is it possible for key stakeholders to unite and find a common language and go to Metaverse together?
That's the key question, and this is not just a question of, I believe that music industry, that once again, because the pandemic and what happened with pandemic, it had the biggest influence on music industry. So people are speaking about tourism that dropped, but basically the live music industry was the only industry that dropped to zero because we were the band first and we were the last one to reopen. So if one thing was good about that is that music industry starts coming together. So basically the artists, the agencies, the promoters, the festivals, we were coming together because everybody understood that we all depend on each other. Before that, artists was relatively looking at promoters as, slaves, for instance. It was a different mode, let's say the old world relationships. And then they just realized, okay, if we don't have any promoters, any concerts, any festivals, then we can't communicate with our fans directly and, cut down the revenue streams. And for the first time, agencies which were pretty much bullish towards the promoters starting supporting. And I was super surprised about that because in 20 years of me doing this business, never saw that. And some of the hardest agents, they become, genuinely nice. So it was a great change to witness. And that's something that I'm passionate about. And I believe that in the new world, it will not be so much about competition, but it will be about cooperation and creating the synergies. And this is the key thing, because together we can create so much more. And the music industry, we should be wise enough to connect. And then this concept of going to Metaverse together, what does that mean? That means that we will not allow some other forces to say us, okay, this is how the music industry will be presented, this is your share, and that's it, take it or leave it. Which is the case now when you, for instance, when big musicians advertise on Facebook, Instagram, Google, or whatever, YouTube, Spotify, there is a certain percentage which usually is not fair. In this scenario, music industry is setting up the rules and then picking, out of many tech companies, who do we work with and how we develop this together as a partners, and not just somebody who receives, this is what you get. And this is super exciting, and what I believe at the moment is maybe not easy to connect the whole music industry. It's so many different stakeholders, but for instance, in electronic music, I'm sorry that my friend Maceo Plex couldn't make it. He had some problems with flights, but he will be tonight for the party. But in electronic music, the community is stronger. As we heard, it's all about communities. And there is a really sense of community in electronic music. And that is what I believe that this connection and getting together will come from the electronic music. And for us, for instance, you and me not looking at us as competition, but how we can, work together and create additional value. And then we create much more for the fans, for us, for everybody.
Absolutely. And I think the way that I look at it, and certainly, the people in our business look at it as well, is we're seeing ourselves and others around us as the new music industry. There's an old music industry that's been around for decades, and those rules were set up by a group of people that served them. And the new music industry is based on this thinking. And I'd say to anyone in the room, if you are in Web3 and you class yourself as being a music business, then you are part of the new music industry. You've got a real opportunity to be a part of it, to help build it. Dušan and I were talking over the last over last night and a little bit today about, where this is going, and we're right at the start. And these ideas are really important ideas, but they're going to take a little bit of time to build. but there's the real opportunity now to start from scratch with something brand new that we can really set the rules for, you know, future generations. And that's the important thing as well for me, you know, making sure that everybody has a fair opportunity, artists are paid properly. I mean, we could get down a rabbit hole there about talking about the way that artists are paid, but you know, ultimately, this is where blockchain technology, smart contracts, etc., will go, and it will allow artists to be paid properly for their creative. So yeah, it's super important and very exciting. Very exciting.
Yeah, and especially smaller artists. So in the old world and old music industry, the bigger artists, they receive their share. But it was very difficult for the small artists to really break that barrier and become famous. And in this way, also there is a talk about AI that can also support, you know, that can really support connection between the new artist and their fan base. They can see, like, they will learn what type of music different fans like and then connect. And this can speed up the process of the quality music getting to the fans directly. So not being dependent of the labels of the, you know, big companies, but really making this path between artists and the fans as direct as possible. And this is something that will bring a lot of value, a lot of quality.
We talk about that in the respect of music finding the fan, rather than fan finding the music. So discovery now is about going onto Spotify or other DSPs, and you're the person who's initiating the search for that music through technology and through platforms that ourselves and others are building with AI and better technology. You can map people's behaviors and put music based on people's gameplay or based on their actions and the things that they purchase or interact with in these virtual spaces. We can serve them music that matches their moods, matches their habits, the people that they're friends with, you know, their peer groups. And that point of music finding fans then gives lower level artists who probably wouldn't fill a coffee shop if they went on tour, but their music will be able to be found a lot better and a lot easier. And of course, they'll make more money from it than they probably would in more traditional models.
So you think Metaverse is not just reserved for artists with a big budget?
Not at all. Not at all. I think
big fan bases and big teams.
I'm going through a process at the moment of building out a music rights foundation, almost like a legal framework for how music rights are going to be handled on our platform, but also how we can then take that to market for Web3 as a whole, for other platforms to kind of learn from what we've built, what we're building. And if you're an independent artist, this space works much better for you than if you're a global artist signed to Universal. You know, if you own your masters, you own the rights to your own music, you don't have to go through the battles that I'm going through now, trying to license and get artists onto our platform. You know, the hoops that we're jumping through, because this is all grey area for the music legal business. There's no precedent set for how music rights should be used and distributed and how people should be paid within Web3. They try to put old models and try and cram it into old models. Oh, that's a sync license. It's not. You know, in some instances it might be, but they're trying to take new technology, new ways of thinking, and apply old constructs to them. What we're saying is we're going to build new constructs. We're going to build new ways of rights that are being distributed, being handled, being reported, royalties being calculated, fractionalized ownership, so you can pay each individual person who owns a piece of that song. On and on and on. But again, to your point or to your question, this is not just about big artists. In fact, quite the opposite. So
what do you suggest for small artists if they want to enter the Metaverse? What would be their first, second step?
I mean, the unfortunate thing at the moment is, as we all know, the Metaverse is quite fragmented, right? There's not one door that you walk into and you're in the Metaverse. There's loads of different platforms. NFTs drops are done here. Tokens are managed over here. You know, it's quite a fragmented landscape. But what I would say is, firstly, as an independent artist, firstly, you need to do your research. You know, as much the same way now with DJs, etc. They have to know about social media. They have to know how to work algorithms. Yes, the bigger artists will have their own teams who can help them do that. But most artists that are really, really engaged in their own careers don't just let other people handle everything for them. They read about it, they learn about it, and you need to do that as an independent artist when it comes to Web3. Secondly, I would think about community and fan base. You know, some of those smaller artists have got, I mean, even big artists, the super fans are the ones that spend the most money. They're the smallest group. You've got artists that have 35 million followers on Instagram, but only a small percentage are the ones that will religiously spend money and follow them everywhere. Smaller artists have that, you know, as their nucleus. Engage with them, and as I said earlier, turn your marketing cost into revenue. Get your fan base to help fund your projects. You know, shared ownership through smart contracts is going to change the way that everything is monetized.
And what we see, especially in, for instance, in the field of conscious music, is where artists now basically totally connect directly with their fans and crowdfunding for their albums, you know. And this is something that definitely support their work, so they don't need to go through labels and through all these different corporations, but engage with the community together. And all of these tools will help them engage even more in a more quality way and get their fans more engaged into development of that music, because once again, it's about communities. And everybody wants to belong, and the fans and the artists then can grow together. And this is something that's bringing a lot of value.
I would love to echo a lot of things what guys just said. So first of all, when you think about Web3 marketing, what's such a difference between Web3 and Web2, that Web3 is all about partnerships, collaboration. And as an agency, we worked everything from like tech, fintech, with a lot of crypto projects, metaverses. And one thing that's so noticeable with Web3 is like everyone's here to help. Everyone's here to give you introduction, give you the insight, give you some kind of guidance, because it's still such a small industry and everyone is so interested for it to grow that if you're building your product, your business on it, you have so much more opportunities just to get outside help from the community. That's thing number one. Thing number two, it's still very new and still very young. So if we look at let's say, music industry and TikTok, there are some TikTok stars who started quite early when TikTok was just out there where everyone's thinking it's only just for kids. And let's take an example of Belexpocentar. She was just a TikTok artist, making funny videos. Some of them didn't even take her seriously. But now she's a pretty good A-lister who's doing amazing videos and millions of followers. And she did that because she used TikTok, something that no one else was using, and regular A-list celebrities wasn't even into it. Nowadays, it's getting a little bit better. So those celebrities, even if they might not be unknown, they're just starting out artists, will do quality things in Metaverse, they can skyrocket just because they're the first ones. And being first in the new industry basically sets you apart, sets you in the standard. So here's always about the opportunity to come first, to really utilize it, utilize the community, utilize everyone there. And as my fellow panelists said, you can also incentivize your community, your fan base, to invest in your project via tokens, via DAO. There's all sorts of ways how you can fundraise it, but you can really utilize it and build something without even needing fancy agents, fancy exposure, just the right community and exciting content.
And what is important is this sense of bringing the new world. So this is not, this goes way beyond the music industry. It's about everybody, the whole humanity, and you know, what are the relationships in this new world, and how we relate, how we look at the business, how we look at the competition. As you said, you know, so much more cooperation. Mickey and I was just chatting before about the DAOs and how, you know, DAOs also working together, and people in different DAOs also basically seeing that part of the DAO working with another DAO is the value, because it's not like that they are breaching the agreement or something like that, but basically bringing the knowledge of other DAO to your DAO. And this is totally new way of thinking, and just go so much beyond the old way. And I truly believe that this can also help us into winning this fight for the whole humanity of building the open metaverse, because we are now in that phase where we fight between, will some big corporation invest 100 billions and create like Instagram, but in Web3, and everybody will be part of, most of the audience will be part of that because they have the resources to create a quality environment. Or the key stakeholders, smaller players and medium players will unite, and then we'll find a way how we can connect all of these metaverses together. And this is an important thing because people are now, with the Web3, they are excited and say, okay, this is the new world is coming. But we need to remind ourselves that every time when new technology came, people were excited and saying, oh, this will now revolutionize and democratize the way we communicate. For instance, when the radio came, that was the idea, and then the big money, big corporations took over the radio. And then the TV came, and once again, people were excited, and then the big money and corporations took over the TV space. Then the internet came, once again, oh, now, this is the time where, the society will win, communities will win. And then, once again, we see, the big tech companies are probably the biggest villains in the world, one of the biggest villains. And now with Web3, the excitement is the same. But I feel, and I hope, that finally there is enough consciousness that we understand what happened with radio, TV, and Web 2, and that Web 3 will be a different story. But I just want to remind ourselves that it's not something that is given. It's something that we need to work on and to fight for.
Is it possible, Miki, to create unique DAO in the music industry with shared goals?
I don't know about unique, but I completely agree. This ecosystem, back to the stakeholders. So when we set up our NFT gallery in London last year, there has been other ones in the world, and we're best friends now. So we were hanging around in Lisbon the other week, and we were talking about Web 2 versus Web 3, or centralized versus non-centralized. And these natural competitors across the world, which would have been natural competitors back in the day, we're best friends. We're all share information. We're open source. Some of our DAO members are members of the other DAOs. So this co-ownership thing, if we, like the current currency used here or in our country, these are separate, but we own Bitcoin together and we own Ethereum together. And then if we vote in these different, if I buy some Pixelynx NFTs and some Exit, and I'm a voter and a co-owner, and you're shaping, not just voting, but like a co-owner. So it's a very significant difference, which leads, like strategically, you can always see if some of the players are not our friends. Most of them are, some of them aren't. But the ones who aren't actually have really Web 2 centralized behavior. That's why we're not friends, because they're trying to do something different. So this model, the tokens, the money, the community, gives us a really good chance to do this ecosystem thing in the open together. And like, that's the brilliant thing about an ecosystem, is we vote as owners. If I come up with an idea, we all come up with an idea, you guys get to pick, and what we want together is the answer. Which was kind of the opposite, like you said, back in the day when Instagram was feeding us things, they were deciding what was correct based on profit. Whereas if we did it,
just like thinking of shareholders, in the more traditional sense. I think the challenge with DAOs is it's so early, and nobody really knows where it's going to go, which is great and exciting. But I think the pitfalls and the challenges will be around regulation, around some of these things around, I guess, old mentalities creeping in. It's going to be an interesting time. I'm part of a DAO called Moda, which you guys should check out. It's it's new for me. It's like I hadn't really thought about doing it before. Kind of almost fell into it. But it's certainly something that I would advise most people to look into if you aren't already aware of what a DAO or a decentralized autonomous organization is. Then definitely take some time to look at it, because these are going to be forming the structures of new businesses in the future, for sure.
Internet
And not just in tech.
Yeah, exactly. Not just in tech.
Yeah. So internet was always about democracy, and what I love about DAOs is actually bringing the voice to people, those who form the businesses, those who form the products, and you can actually feel that you're having a stake, a power into the development. Whereas in everyday life, we feel like, yes, we might buy a stock to some company, but will they care if we send them some suggestions? Probably not. In here, we really can influence where the industry is going. And speaking about the artists, in the same way they can actually talk with their community, they can actually connect with their community in a much more closer way. There are some artists that are creating their own, for example, NFTs, which are like access passes to go to a special Discord group, special Telegram group, where sometimes these artists are there and they have a special Q&A, AMA sessions. They come, they talk with their fans, and they get really personalized VP experience. And fans want that. Fans want to be part of their artists, not just liking their Instagram posts or watching their YouTube videos on repeat, but really having a say in what they think about their music, how they see it, just share the experience together. And here, DAOs, here, crypto overall as an industry can really empower the artists to have closer relationship with their community.
Dušan, your opinion on this?
But as I said, you know, the DAOs is what we heard in very early stages, but definitely we can see. It's interesting to see how people get excited about different concepts. And what we see now with the DAOs is really popping out everywhere in different fields. So it's definitely the concept that we are also looking into. And so Miki was one of the first to really enlighten me with this concept. And it's something that I can see how many people are getting excited about it, and how it can really give the power to all members of organization to direct where it is going. On the other hand, as we heard, it's in early stages, so you know the governance and everything around it, you know, how to make it efficient, how to make it, you know, that really, you know, the best decisions are made. It's something that we will see how it will develop in the future. But yeah, definitely the concept that is hot right now.
How? Sorry.
Yeah, when we get to the in real life DAOs, because you've only just shown me what I saw there, what you showed to everyone, the island and the like super excited. But so because we set up a property DAO in London, like an Airbnb blockchain thing a while ago, a small one called Yoga Box as a test, and I was speaking to my creative director the other day, and I was like, why does this work so well? How come we've only got 6 tenants, but it went from a raw shell of shared ownership, 6 tenants, to a really beautiful space. Really, it's better than any other terraced house or shared ownership concept. And she said, yeah, because we all own it, so we get to share off the resources, etc., etc. And then when you think of the island, or like rolling that out at scale, like the same way an urban environment doesn't work because we can't look after our neighbors and our neighbors' neighbors, so we disrespect it. London's very disrespected. It's broken because no one cares anymore. And but if you own your island, and I'm like, vote to do this, and other people vote to say yes or no, as these co-ownerships come into real life, I think it's going to change people's framework.
And that's super exciting when you have such quality, you know, of minds living together as well. Then there is an enormous amount of synergy coming out of those. And what we can see now, some of the best minds in the world, they don't want to work for the biggest corporations because they can see what their creativity and minds are contributing for, you know, get people more addicted to Instagram or, you know, to other things. And you know, people don't want to be part of that environment. They don't want to, for their spirits, for their energy, for their knowledge, for their creativity, to serve such purpose. More and more people are getting away from those and really want to do something meaningful. And the story, it's about the purpose as well. And then in this environment, just imagine, you know, every night there is the dinner and then the party afterwards and then the talks, and you know, what can come out of those environments. It's pure magic, and this is something that I'm very passionate about.
When do we leave? Let's go.
But NFTs are coming to Instagram. Your thoughts.
Could you repeat that, please? Sorry.
NFTs are coming to Instagram. Your thoughts about it?
I mean, I look at Mark Zuckerberg and his whole organization as the complete antithesis of what Web3 is all about. You know, for me, just the very thought of what they are about just does not fit with my personal views on Web3 and everything we've just discussed. So for me, it feels, I mean, I was very skeptical and cynical when they changed to Meta. It's obviously, you know, your fan base is now parents and grandparents. You want to try and talk to a younger audience and attract a younger audience, and it felt very cynical to me. And, you know, without this being a session where we just dog Mark Zuckerberg, you know, the jury's out for me. I'm just looking at it very skeptically. Like, it's a tricky one.
I agree. Please.
No, ladies first.
That's where it's good to be a woman in tech industry. So on one hand, I totally agree that what Mark Zuckerberg and Meta thinks about overall metaverse, they're centralized. They're so opposite to what crypto, blockchain, metaverse is all about. But on their hand, I think it's a very natural way for them to go, or to at least thrive in this industry, at least for a little bit, because nowadays no one is using Facebook. So for example, I deleted my Facebook app because it was just too much stuff there, and I would go only once a week probably. Like, I don't feel that I have a need to go there anymore. Whereas with like TikTok, this is where everything, like all my time is being spent, because it's new, it's innovative, it's different. So Facebook is just trying to scrap something up to be relevant, to be excited. And they see a huge success of Twitter when it comes to crypto industry overall. A lot of people are putting NFTs as their profile pictures, because then it's a status symbol. You want to show that you bought some kind of NFT for like 100,000, 200,000 or more. That's exciting for a certain class people. So when it comes to Instagram and all the NFTs, they want to monetize it. They want to also allow to have NFTs, let's say a profile picture, which would be backed and verified. They probably want artists to be able to sell these NFTs, because then they can make a transaction fee. So when it comes also to Facebook or Instagram, we need to think about the ads as well. The ads are becoming less and less effective with all the new iOS changes. So they need to think also about the different revenue streams, how they can make profit. And here, enabling the creators sell NFTs. Again, marketplace, maybe probably gonna try to be a marketplace, how they already rebranded with the retail products, where you can actually tap on products and be redirected to their e-commerce stores. So for them, it's a natural progression of where to go. Will the industry accept it? Probably not. But this is something where at least they put a standard going towards there, which can be appreciated.
Yeah, and what I believe about what I said about, you know, competition focus shifting to cooperation, and creating this culture where if you are, you know, trying to build everything for yourself, you know, and own the world, you know, that's you know, not something that will be adopted by people, especially new generations. And what we can see in the young audience that is coming, it's their sensitivity. And you have to be honest. And they are very sensitive when there is a project or a company that is, you know, there just for the money. And, you know, let's be honest. How, if you own, you know, billions, how much of those you can spend? There was one billionaire, he tried to spend as much as possible.
I can help.
Yeah, for sure. But, you know, there is just a limited amount what you can do for yourself with that amount of money. And what we see now, many new billionaires actually supporting all of this that we are speaking about, supporting these initiatives. And basically, the way to change the world, you know, it's not about just criticizing what the old world is doing. It's basically taking the things in our own hands and building the new structures that people will be part of.
I think looking at on a positive spin, anything that gets what we're doing and trying to do mainstream and puts it in front of a mainstream audience to raise adoption levels, raise education, so that we speed up the process of the everyday person being able to interact and get involved in Web3 and NFT, and et cetera. Anything that happens that gets that done faster, and if that's Facebook, Instagram, et cetera, adopting this and pushing it right up in front of people's faces, so that your parents and your grandparents even hear, you know, and understand what the term NFT means, that is a good thing. You know, I believe that, you know, in terms of adoption. It's so important for everyone in this room that adoption rates increase and increase fast, because it gets us further towards our end goal quicker. So yeah, to end on a positive note, I would say that for sure.
It's like last year, I spent the whole of last year not being very positive about Sotheby's, NFTs, and Metaverse.
Really?
Yeah, I was a bit facetious. But actually, when I looked back at the end of the year, they did more than anyone, including me, for the whole space. I had to admit that, and was like, if it wasn't for their verification and legitimacy, they did really well. And then at the end of this year, again, I think, is Facebook going to win? No, not at all. They're behind. And this it's already been proved, because 3-4 years ago they wanted to make the chain, whatever it was. That stopped. The other day they just released they're going to be partnering with Polygon, which I see as a defeat, essentially. You can't release your own chain, let's partner with the other one. So yeah, they're going to bring a lot of scale, and I think it'll be helpful. And then it's our time to battle. So really, it's what we've wanted, and the time we want to show that big audience what we can do and what is innovative.
For sure. I would say that the chemistry between music industry and Metaverse is one of a kind, but what are the good and the bad things of this huge transition? Dušan?
Yeah, we spoke a lot about the good things, so many exciting opportunities. The bad things is that having in mind that things are not regulated, this is the good thing, but also there are many scams that are out there, so it's really, it will be a lot of learning by mistakes, what evolution is all about. So, you know, the thing that is the new space and that it's open, that's at the same time the good and the bad thing. But once again, if we go in more and more about cooperation, about exchanging knowledge, exchanging experience, and not just that, setting up the values. And setting up, it's totally not cool to behave like, not to mention these companies anymore, but basically also educating fans what is the, and people, that they have a real power, and that it's up to them. It's not just for them to be served, okay, this is what you will watch, this is what... So the concept of marketing, in old way is, okay, we will tell you what you will buy, we will tell you what you need, and you will buy this, This paradigm need to change, and we need to empower people so people, truly know by themselves, what is their internal needs and how they will satisfy those needs, and not for some big authority to tell them, okay, this is how you will behave. And this is the paradigm shift that needs to happen, that I believe it's happening, but it's also about all of us who understand it, about education, and about empowering people and giving them techniques for that.
I want to continue what Dušan said, is like, it's still a very new industry, and that means everyone who is doing something, they're not following some kind of playbook. There are no rules how to do it. There are no guidelines. Everyone here is basically inventors. They're inventing new things. They're testing out. And when you're testing, when you're trying to invent something, you also make a lot of mistakes. You make a lot of fuck-ups, pardon my French, and that's normal. We can see what happened a couple of days ago with, let's say, Luna, Terra. That was a terrible thing, like with their death spiral, their token basically losing all their value. But in other hands, it's normal, because this is the industry of how many? 10 years? Nothing more. So you need to be very, very careful on who you're trusting, where you're investing your money, and just overall understand that you're part of something new just still being created. And when you're doing something for the first time, it never is going to be okay. It's never going to be good at the first time. So just be very, very cautious as you're still in a very much developing industry.
And what I also believe, it's the game cannot be just about the money. Of course, the money is important, and it's important, to have the project that brings money. But it needs to shift more and more about purpose and more about, satisfying true human needs. And this is something that will give you longevity of your project, of your company, of your organization, of your idea. If you are satisfying something that is tangible, that is real, and that is there to last. And that is what I believe in the future, and especially in the environment where we are now with the environmental crisis and everything that is happening. People need to come together to solve these big things on the earth. Yeah, the game needs the paradigm and the focus needs to shift a little and to become more human.
For sure. And I would say, good. We've talked about it already, but this is a moment in time where artists, IP holders and owners and creatives have got the opportunity to connect directly with their fan base in a way that they've never had before, without all of the other middlemen and all of the other organizations and I guess hoops to jump through. It's the most direct relationship opportunity for a long time. Ownership is going to be made very clear and very transparent. People will be paid correctly. This is all very positive. Community, the bringing together of people, as Dušan has mentioned, the thinking and as Mickey mentioned earlier about DAOs and people that would be considered competitors historically are now coming together and sharing. These things have never really happened before. So these are all massive positives. We've touched on, obviously there's negatives. There are questions around the environmental impact of the blockchain. There are questions around the legitimacy of a lot of projects or the way that certain people will handle themselves in the space. But these are things that I think can be overcome with clear communication and transparency. And I would finish by saying I think there are far more positives than there are negatives.
For sure.
Mickey?
Yeah, completely the same. I don't see negatives personally ever, but if this new technology goes forward, you could be fearful or in shock about how free you are from just from your own psychology. You might be used to being fed music or your tastes at quite a deep level, and not having that might be so. Being an actual owner of everything, all your DAOs and money, etc., would be a very free place to be, and it'd be a cognitively hard thing to deal with, I suppose.
And one of the things that actually this could support, the DAO concept and everything we are speaking about, it's also the freedom of speech. It got lost along the way, and now we have some big authorities who say, okay,
and algorithms.
Okay, this is the accepted truth. And if you align in that, okay, you can keep your account on some network, and if you don't appreciate what's the accepted truth, then we will delete you. And if this network is owned by the fan base, then the fan base will decide, about that. And yeah, this is the scary concept. For instance, I grew up in Serbia during the dictatorship of Milošević, and I know something about to see when when somebody is trying to portray their own view, and not allowing the freedom of speech, among many other things. And what really is frightening is something that we see now, that everywhere in the world, even in traditional democracies of the West, and this is something that is truly scaring. But that this concept can help to, once again, give power to the people and to turn around.
Totally agree. Let's wrap this up with a couple of questions from the audience. Do we have some questions here? Okay. Can somebody hand the microphone?
Hi, Thank you for this opportunity to ask. I want to ask you, why do you think that the outcome of the consumption of media in Metaverse will change just because we change the platform? Because even today, whatever they are trying to bomb us with, we have the choice to choose what we are consuming, where we are spending time, and what we are buying. So if the big tech companies come to Metaverse, and if they put a lot of money and presence, the thing will be the same, I guess.
Yeah, that's what I was speaking, that it's something that it's not that we should take for granted that things will happen just by itself. I exactly agree with you. But it's all about the ownership. So now all media in the world and the big tech as well are owned by the big capital, and that is in very close circles is decide, you can basically literally see, for instance, what I said we witnessed in Serbia years ago is, how the same information goes to every media, and you can see that there is, it's coming from somewhere. But if with the Web3, there is opportunities for a small organization and people getting strong much faster and much bigger, and really can compete with this big capital. And this is something that is new. That basically, for instance, also in the music industry, before you needed, I don't know how much capital to do an album. Now, for years now, you just need a computer and you can create an album. Before, you needed to rent a studio that you couldn't afford, and you were totally in the mercy of the big labels. So this is how, and also changing the consciousness, changing the paradigm shift from competition to cooperation. It's, I would say it's mostly about that.
And I want to answer this question from two ways. From one part, you want to have big corporations here because what big corporations have, they have the capital, have the money. And if they're going to go out there, they're going to pave the way. They're going to create, let's say, some technology which later can be used cheaper. So it's good. We want big tech to go there, pave the way, create some kind of standard like Facebook and Instagram is now doing. But then that will allow the smaller creators to see what the big tech with their big budgets did, what worked for them, what didn't work, and then being more decentralized, whereas like other totally decentralized and controlled, they are in a sense a competition for them. But they're doing that by learning from big tech mistakes. So in a sense, it's actually good that the big tech is going there.
I absolutely agree, but I just think that over time, the capitalist way of thinking and moving will just make ones bigger over the others, and things after a short amount of time will be the same, I guess.
The same thing happened with social media. Social media came, it's now too big. We're moving somewhere else where it's always going to be the cycle.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you guys so much. It is now time to wrap up the panel, so I want to give all of you an opportunity to speak to all of these panelists in our after party. So let's just give them a round of applause. Thank you so much for a powerful panel.
Thank you so much. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Okay, so this was an incredible day. For those that are aware, there is an after party, and it's hosted by Exit Festival. So just a couple of things for people with the red bracelets. Okay, you guys know the party is going to be here, so we're going to kindly ask everyone to leave as soon as this announcement is over so that, production team can clean up. People with the red bracelets are going to go to the main entrance, which is where you guys had registered. People with yellow bracelets, you have to go around, and there's the backstage area there. And people that didn't get any bracelets, you can go to, if you are VIP, you can go to the backstage and just say your name. And if you have a regular ticket entrance, you can go into the main entrance, and then just as long as your name is on the list. So that's it. The party starts tonight with Maceo Plex at 11, and we'll see you guys there. Thank you so much for being here on day 2.